Welcome to part 3 of Questions of Life, from the Shire to the Lonely Mountain and everything in between. And today is called Respectable and Well-to-Do. How important do you regard your reputation to be? Often we do almost anything to protect it, whether that's the reputation of our workplace, the school, church, or even our own good name. Sometimes it seems like we've spent years trying to establish our reputation. And it is important, don't get me wrong. A good reputation at work means that people trust you. For any business entrepreneur, building up a good reputation is fundamental to their success. It's connected with trust, isn't it, I think? But I wonder if sometimes we become so concerned about our reputation, our good name, that the fear of losing it stops us taking any risk in life. Think about it personally. You may have spent years establishing yourself among your work colleagues, or your friends, or even your family, and it matters to us what they think, doesn't it? And maybe we even like who we are, and you're pleased with the respect that you're given. And I know that I don't want to lose that. Our good name and our respectableness are important to us. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Proverbs 22 verse 1 says, "A good name is to be more desired than great wealth. Favour is better than silver and gold." See? But what if a good reputation stops us taking risks in life? What if we are so concerned about the past and the present that we are too scared to step out and take risky decisions for the future? Well, I think that this is the situation that Bilbo faces as he contemplates joining the dwarves on their adventure to the Lonely Mountain. And after all, Bilbo is a very respectable hobbit. I'm going to read to you apart from the hobbit. This hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggins. The Bagginses had lived in the neighbourhood of the hill for time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable. Not only because most of them were rich, but also because they never had any adventures or did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any question without the bother of asking him. This is a story of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbours' respect, but he gained... Well, you will see whether he gained anything in the end. And that's from The Hobbit there. You see, the first question Bilbo has to ask himself before stepping out in faith, in response to the call from Gandalf and the dwarfs, before stepping out into this wonderful story and the adventure that Gandalf lays out before him, is, am I willing to lose my reputation in the Shire? Am I willing to compromise my good, respectable, well thought of family name? The name that is highly respected. And I think that this is a similar barrier for many of us, especially those of us who are considering following Jesus. You see, Jesus invites us into an exciting and wonderful life story. But I think the risk of it for us in this country is it may cost us our reputation amongst friends and family. I remember feeling really embarrassed about telling friends that I was going to follow Jesus and commit to being a part of his story for the rest of my life. I felt like I was compromising my reputation. I felt like I had a lot to lose, you see, because I liked what people thought of me. And I wonder if you feel you would be putting your reputation at stake if you were to say to your friends and family that I have decided to follow Jesus Christ. Imagine their reaction if they're not Christians. I wonder if they'd be amused, they might be scared, they might just think you've gone mad. I wonder if you would risk losing your respectability with those whom you love most. You see, following Jesus and becoming part of this story requires a big step of faith, a risky decision, because like Bilbo, you just do not know what will happen to you. Paul, the apostle, wrote in his letter to the Philippians in chapter 3, "What is more, I consider everything a loss, because the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage, that I may gain Christ." The Apostle Paul lost his reputation and his name as a respected Jewish leader, but as he says, it was worth it because he gained Christ. He became part of the great story of life. His life spiraled into one big adventure. He took risks. And indeed, hardship followed him as he journeyed around the Mediterranean, calling people to join in this adventure. He lost friends from old, and he lost the respect of his peers, but he gained immeasurably more, just as we will discover with Bilbo. But these are the questions I think we can ask ourselves for our own lives. To what extent do you value your reputation? Would you be willing to lose the respect of your friends, colleagues and family for the gain of entering into the greatest story ever told, the story of God in our world? Would you risk it? Would you risk it all for a new life of following Jesus? Would you risk your good reputation?